Yes, yes. Why watch this? Cue the intro.
Nice.
All right, guys, we're back again. Jake and Trevor, Coast to Coast Real Estate Team. We're going to talk about something different that's not real estate today.
Today we realized, a couple episodes in that we've been talking about real estate a bunch and haven't properly introduced ourselves.
It's like, who are these guys? Like, why am I listening to this bald dude and this guy that's going bald? Right
Yeah, exactly. So wanted to adjust, our schedule a bit and introduce us and why we got into real estate, how we got to the island in the first place.
Yeah, what we like to do, and just so if you're going to work with somebody and buy a house, maybe down in the future, you should probably know a little bit about them, and I feel like something like, if you like the Seahawks, I can't really work with you. Sorry, man.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So as I think we've kind of mentioned previously in last episodes, both Jake and I weren't originally from Vancouver Island. We both chose the island as the place that we wanted to live independently.
Call home, yeah.
And, we started off, we both came to the island fresh, pretty out of high school.
Yeah, Trevi. Oh, you tell your story, I'll tell my story.
Okay.
So let's do
that.
Yeah, just so
we'll start first.
I don't want to steal your thunder or anything.
Yeah, so, I bounced around quite a bit, going far enough back. I was originally born in the U.S. I was born in Portland, Oregon. My mom was a nurse, and father was a military guy. We bounced around from Oregon to Hawaii, where I was in Hawaii for about 10 years. Then from there, moved to Seattle, where I stayed till I was just before high school. And then going into high school, moved from Seattle to northern Alberta to a cattle farm with my family, and was there until I graduated. And my first introduction of Canada was northern Alberta and the cold, and I was definitely not used to that. And so for me, the whole thing was, okay, well, Canada must have a place that has nice weather and is close to the ocean. So I looked up Canada on Google Earth during the winter months and saw there's a little speck of green on the coast of on the west coast of Canada. I was like, okay, that's where I'm going to move. I knew I was really into football at the time. Was dedicating basically all my energy and everything to playing in high school and all that, and found out there was a really good football team in Nanaimo. Ended up moving over here to play for the Vancouver Island team, and that's what brought me here. And what's your story, Jake? What brought you to the island?
I just saw Trevor moved here, so I was like, I gotta get. No,
it's true. It's true.
No, so for me, similar. I grew up on the mainland in Maple Ridge. There wasn't born in Hawaii or anything cool like that, but lived there for most of my life. Played high school football in Whitlam. Obviously, loved football. Played played my whole life. It was like my dream and my goal to play professional football. And then going out of high school, I talked to a couple schools and didn't end up working out the way I wanted to. And decided that I wanted to continue playing football, but I also wanted to be independent and not live with my parents. So general manager at the time of the team, I knew him through playing organized football through Team BC or something like that. And he called me and was like, "Hey Jake, I want you to come play over here and be our quarterback." And I think you guys had just were coming out of a situation where your 5-year quarterback had left or whatever.
Yeah.
I came over and it worked out well. I loved the island, except for the smell when you first drive on the island. It's like kind of like you're used to that smell. You're not used to the ocean.
Oh, yeah.
Driving by, you're like, oh, what is that smell almost?
Yeah,
but then you get
salty.
Yeah, right. Came over here, did that, played, and then I ended up loving the island and loving everything about it. Like the people, my family loves it. Like my mom owns a home here now. My dad's moving here. I love the island, love the people, love the relationships I made with people, the friends and everything like that.
Yeah.
And then my fiance, I can't even say the word right. Fiance is so new. Maybe in 2017, she was kind of commuting back and forth, and then and I was here full time. 2018, she decided to move here full time.
And she's also Maple Ridge, right?
Yeah, she's Maple
You
Ridge.
guys met in high school?
Just after, yeah.
Oh, okay.
At the bar, it's a love story.
Yeah.
Anyways,
classic.
Yeah. Anyway, and so we decided to make the island our home, and she went to VIU, and And yeah, and we bought a home and got a dog and recently got engaged and decided the island was going to be our home.
Yeah.
And we don't want to be anywhere else. Don't want to live on the mainland anymore. It's too nuts for us. Don't want to live in Grand Prairie, Alberta.
Yeah.
We don't want to live in the Okanagan. We just thought the island kind of offers so much for us as a young couple growing in like in our own industries and fields. So that kind of just made a lot of sense for us. And and then after my football career ended, I had some opportunities to go play football overseas, which I decided to not pursue because it was just a lot of time. Like you had to go over there, live there for 6 months. As much as I loved football and wanted to do that, it just seemed like at 25, I'm going to go over there, do a year or two of that, and or I could start my life and do the things I've done, like buy a home and start our own business and our company, and grow it and scale it in the last year like we have. So that just made a lot. It just made a lot of sense to make those choices. But yeah, and then I guess I'll start on this part.
Yeah.
I mean, before I was in real estate, I was still in sales. I was in car sales for a couple of different dealerships from Parksfield and Nanaimo for about 3 years, whether it was from the sales floor to like a little bit of management and stuff like that. So I definitely found doing those jobs kind of like working at the casino. Like you're in sales and you're helping people. Yes, like someone comes and they want to buy a car, you do your thing. But I mean, car salesmen have bad reps. And you're always, and when I say the casino, you're always working for the house. Like the house always wins kind of thing. They're never going to do a deal where they're not making money, and everyone has to make money.
Yeah.
But there's a certain point in my mind where some people are in a tough, rock and a hard place. You just got to help them out and do the best you can.
Yeah.
And money's not the only motivator there, and that's kind of what I like to. And then the relationships, it's just so turn and burn in that industry. Where you didn't make good relationships, and you met a lot of cool people, but it's like if I've met people in real estate in the last year where I called them and obviously we helped them buy a house. They remember you and they come to my house for dinner. I've been to their house for dinner. I've met their family. If I called them a year later and said, hey, Bob, what's going on? It's Jake, whatever. And they're like, hey, Jake, what's going on? I'm like, hey, I need some help with this. I know you were really handy. Could you help me out?
Yeah.
And then I call a guy in cars. We'll call him Bob again. And hey, Bob, it's Jake. I sold your car. He's like, what are you doing calling me? Like, what do you want? Yeah. Right. It's just such a different feel.
Yeah.
And I know I love the genuine connection part. I love the building friendships. And it's funny how many of my new friends or people that I helped in real estate or met through real estate.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. It's like, the difference between being in a sales role versus an agency role.
It's like an advisor almost. So you're kind of like, because I can't make you buy the house for you. I can't do that. But like, I'm advising you. I'm giving you my experience and my opinion and stuff like that and guiding you through it. But like, I'm not like, it's still your house. I'm helping you, navigate it. But I'm not, like selling your house. You're selling your house with my help and guidance.
Well, it's like the best, the whole point, being a real estate agent and being an agent for someone is to advise them on what's the best possible scenario for them that's in their position. And sometimes it's not to sell or not to buy something. And that's, very rare in a sales role. If you're at a dealership or something and someone comes in and you're like, you know what, actually, after looking at your life a little bit more, you probably shouldn't buy a car right now.
Yeah, well, it's like, exactly. And if I told my manager, hey, I walk somebody because they're already maxed, and we looked at their app and their credit and stuff, and they're maxed, so we can't do it. And they'd be like, what do you mean we can't do this, right? Like, it's just a totally different environment, and you could just feel it, right? And then also for me, like I'm a young guy, we're both young guys, but like I said, I have a dog, I have a fiance, I would like to have kids in the next couple of years. I hated being at the dealership. We always call it pin to pin, you're 8 to 8 or 8 to, whatever the last customer left, right? So I just think lifestyle wise, I like the fact that I can work from home or work from an office space, wherever we kind of choose to work, and then build my days and build my schedule around the, the stuff that I have going on in my life. Obviously you have to be, not everything's gonna be perfect. It's just like any other job. Sometimes I got to sacrifice my personal life and things like that to be able to show clients that are, coming up from out of town, they're, hey, I'm flying in these 2 days. It's like, well, I'm canceling those 2 days.
Yeah, of course.
You're my priority. But yeah, there's just a lifestyle component of it as well, and being able to like just scale no matter what. Like we can continue to grow our business and grow our brand and do everything. Whereas in the dealership, you kind of hit a peak. Like you get to a certain point where if you're a 25-year-old guy and your general sales manager is 30 years old, you're probably not going to take his job anytime. So like you're not going to take his job or do that anytime soon. So yeah, there's just unlimited growth. I felt like for us.
Yeah, no, I think that makes a lot of sense. And I myself had a similar kind of background where. I had a ton of random jobs when I first moved to the island. Like I worked, before I moved to the island, living in a place like Grand Prairie where there's a lot of, most of the money obviously is going to be in oil field type work and camp work where, you can not have a ton of necessarily experience or education and still be able to make a good amount of money, at least at the time when the oil industry was doing really well, doing some random oil field related or camp related job. And so I found most of the normal jobs like the retail and sales and customer support and construction and those type of jobs were in super high demand because there wasn't a ton of people moving to Grand Prairie to do those regular jobs.
All the money was just oil.
And so for me, when I was in high school, I knew, okay, I'm going to be moving away from here, and I have no idea what type of work will be in demand for wherever I'm going to move to. So I wanted to have kind of as diverse of resumes
every 6 months you're out of here.
Yeah, it was I would start a job and say, letting I'm going to be here for maybe 6 months, but enough to learn at least the gist of how to do this. Like I worked in pet stores, I worked in clothing stores, I worked laying brick, concrete, curbing, started an internship for some plumbing. What else? And then I eventually was, doing some machinery, working like a packer for laying foundations for buildings.
Okay, yeah.
And then, moved over to the island and was doing, I worked for Atlas Truss, a local company, which has given a lot to the community in Nanaimo. And was working as, forklift operator. And
didn't you work at a fish mart?
Trunk driver. Yeah, I worked at Hub City Fisheries for a while, gutting fish. And, and shoveling ice, which was fun. You move from Grand Prairie to get out of the cold, and then you move to the island shoveling ice. Yeah. So that was sweet. But whatever random jobs for a while just to figure out what I want to do. Do I want to work inside? Do I want to work outside? Do I want to work with my hands? Do I want to work with people? Yeah. And I found the one thing that drove me nuts was the hourly rate. Yeah. Like, especially for me, being a little bit ADHD mindset, if I can do something really well and quickly, I want to try and do that. But I found in a lot of jobs where the incentive was getting something done in amount of, killing in 8 hours.
You're just going to drag your time. Like, yeah, something I could do in 3, I could do in 8.
Yeah, like that drove me nuts, where I was like, well, if I find a more efficient way to do something or a better way to do something, why am I getting penalized by, okay, well, now I finished the work in 3 hours. Like, shouldn't that be something that I'm rewarded for instead of, oh, well, you didn't, kill 8 hours worth of time, or now I'm going to send you home early because you already finished.
You're not going to get paid. Yeah.
And so that was one thing I was like, man, without figuring it out at the time, I was like, having a job where, you're getting rewarded for finding efficiencies and for finding things that are a little bit more the cutting edge of, it was leaning more toward commission type sales.
It's just getting your job done. It's like, hey, build this or do this.
Yeah.
If you do it in 3 hours, you get paid for 8. If you do it in 8, you get paid for 8.
Exactly. And so that's where I was like, okay, I like those type of measurable goals where it's like, if I help, a certain amount of people buy or sell a home, however I figure out how to do it, or however I make those relationships, that's something that, you're going to get rewarded for your efficiency, not necessarily the amount of time you're killing. Yeah. And that was a big part of where I found real estate was where I started gravitating toward that. But before I got into real estate, I was working for a lead image. That was my first real professional marketing advertising type job. I started that, I believe, back in 2016. Was more like a project manager for companies that were looking at increasing their traffic online, or some helping with design work and print and websites. And it eventually came down to a lot of lead generation. Like, how can we get people through the doors of businesses? How can we get people to click on a certain link on a website? How can we figure that out? And that got me to specialize a lot more in online advertising. So social media advertising, mostly Facebook and Instagram, some YouTube, and SEO type stuff. So making a website show up higher on Google and things like that, design of websites. And I found that, a lot of the demand for marketing and online advertising was in, car sales or real estate. Or, selling things online through online shops and stuff. So I kind of, and I messed around with a lot of those different things and helped a lot of realtors with getting their advertising set up and figuring out how to best maximize their ad spend and sell homes online. And that's where I was finding, that I was really gravitating toward the real estate side of the marketing side.
Not
of
car
things.
sales, huh?
No, I found that you know, the online aspect of, you know, with real estate, it's so competitive and there's so many different people who are trying to do the same job that I find there's a lot of the cutting edge of marketing tends to be kind of in real estate, because there's always, you know, you find a little bit of an advantage, whether it's a certain way of advertising or promoting a home, or you know, presenting yourself, or that a little bit of you find a technology that works better than what people have been doing.
It's a numbers game and a people game in a sense, right? Like, you got to put yourself in front of people. We always have to be good at your job.
Yeah,
but yeah, if you're in front of more people, and then you're also very impressive when you're in front of somebody, right? Like for us, like I think our biggest thing is like when we sit down and meet somebody, I always find clients who are impressed that we're younger guys, you know, that we're doing well, and the kind of the amount of production we put together, but also just I think we both are pretty versed in like sales and like the whole kind of process of it. I think that's where I find for us is getting in front of people and being like there, you know, face to face, like, hey, let's have a coffee and meet this guy, you know, he's in town from Alberta or Vancouver, wherever it is. It's a big difference, right?
Yeah, and I think that's where we why our team made so much sense to create was you know, Jake had a very strong, you know, your background in prospecting and following up with people, and the customer service side of things is something that you've always excelled at, and you know, not only us playing football together, but seeing, you know, the success you're having in another extremely competitive industry, car sales, at a very early on. And that was clearly with, you know, the relationships you're making and the way that you're able to connect with people. And for me, my whole background was in how can we get as many eyeballs on, you know, whether it's a certain property or whether it's, you know, getting people on the phone with us, was my specialty. And so it just made so much sense for us to connect and leverage the skills that we both have with that, to be able to have the real estate team that we have now. And
for sure.
It's you know, it complements for our clients a lot.
And as well, like, so I played quarterback when I played for the Raiders, and Trevor played receiver, right? So we kind of already had this connection. Like Trevor's like, I'm always open, throw me the ball, and I was like, you're never really open, like get faster. And, And, but then no, I'm just kidding. But it ended up working out well, right? Like we just and then, you know, we were buddies playing football. But I think definitely in the last couple of years we definitely became a lot closer. Obviously, being like in professional industries and stuff like that, which is important for us. But I don't know, Trevor, what else about you? Tell me something, like, I don't know, like, tell me something cool. I don't know, like, what football team do you like? What do you like to, like? You
know, the one thing I was going to ask you, actually, to flip this back at you. Because for me, it's pretty, you know, obvious. Like, oh, why would you pick Nanaimo or Vancouver Island instead of Grand Prairie? But I think some people who might not know as much about the island to be a little bit more on the fence for, like, why would you pick the islands instead of Maple Ridge, or the mainland, like, because you're still
well, that's actually a good question. I mean, so at the time it wasn't really like, oh my god, I love Nanaimo, I have to be in Nanaimo. Like, I didn't have like that difference in weather and temperature, because it's very similar over there. For me, it was more about the football and that kind of stuff, because I just wanted to continue playing football somewhere. And I mean, Langley, which is 25 minutes from Maple Ridge, offered a team as well, but I just knew the general manager of the team, and that all made sense. And then, but once I came here and played my first season, I'm like, this is awesome. Like, the ocean's here. It's just quieter. It's like you know, everyone talks about island time. It's just the vibe is quieter. And then when I would go home, it would just seem so chaotic. And for anyone in Vancouver, Maple, it doesn't matter where you are on the mainland. You just feel how chaotic, intense it is here. And I always tell people, they go, what's about the island so great as well? And I go, well, you walk into a gas station, a London Drugs, wherever it is, a superstore. And I have random people I just end up having conversations. I had a guy call me yesterday. He thought my number was for a tree service. And we ended up chatting for 15 minutes on the phone. He was like, oh, I thought I had the wrong number. Sorry about that. He said, well, how's your day going? I'm like, oh, it's going good. How about you? And then he said, well, I'm trying to find this tree service number, gentleman. And we chatted for about 15 minutes. And I was, all right, well, helped him out. And then he was on his way or whatever. I was like, thanks for your help. Bye. That would never happen on the like mainland. Like, people walk by you like you don't even exist. In my opinion, that's how I feel.
Yeah, everyone's too busy.
They're too busy. It's so crowded. It's just a lot. So that was like my big reason at the end of the day, after spending a year or two on the island, why it made so much sense to be here. And I just felt like, like Joan and I could just grow a future together here on the island and be independent. Like, I love my family. I'm very close with them. But I also need to make my own life for myself. And the island, I said it again, it's a young person. It's still affordable to live here. And those things are all factored into, you know, why I want to live here, and the family and community that, you know, I built through football and through, you know, sales and all that kind of stuff, and the people I met. That's ultimately why. I ended up being here, and why I'll stay here for the rest of my life.
Yeah,
unless I live in Mexico.
No, I agree. And for me, it's I still have I'm a dual citizen. I have my U.S. citizenship and my Canadian citizenship. I was born with both. For me, I get asked, well, would you want to move to the States or would you want to move anywhere else in Canada? Mm-hmm. And it's one of those things where if I won the lottery, I wouldn't be packing up and moving somewhere else. I would probably just, have
a bigger house here.
Maybe get like a slightly bigger house or, a boat or something. But, the island is, it's, for me, the day-to-day lifestyle is what really is what I was attracted to, where, it's 15 minutes to drive across town.
That's a good way to put it. The day-to-day stuff
it's hard to beat. The traffic is a big thing for me. Like living in Seattle, for a while, my mom worked as a nurse in a hospital in Seattle, and it'd be if the distance wise, it'd be like a 15-minute drive, but you'd have like a Seahawks game or something going on, and that 15-minute drive is now a 2-hour drive, and it was just having to be surrounded in a city that has that many people in it was it was chaotic, and like you said, it's when you're in a place that has that's so dense, no one has time to stop and chat with every single person they bumped into because they would never get anywhere.
Exactly. And also too, I find, Seattle not so much, but at least on the mainland where I would, in Maple Ridge and stuff, the infrastructure was built so long ago, and it will eventually get there on the island too, I assume, with the amount of people moving here, but the infrastructure is just so small. It was built, whatever it was in the 60s or 50s, and it's just it was too different. It was farms, and there wasn't hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's very said that when you come to the traffic, like Jonah's family in Seattle, and we go down there, and I think is it the 405 or whatever? Or what is that?
The I-5.
The I-5 or whatever it is. And you hit that, man. And I remember we went one night, and it was supposed to be a 3-hour trip. And we hit traffic, and it turned into a 5.5-hour trip.
Oh my goodness, I can't. The traffic is one thing where I realize how impatient I am when I just like.
Well, like you were saying, 15-minute distance, 15 kilometers or whatever, miles, or whatever you talk about in the States. It's like, it's a 15-minute drive in Nanaimo. Okay, well, you're driving 15 kilometers. It's like, oh, hey, it's a 15-minute drive, but you're driving 7 kilometers on the mainland. It's half the distance, but the time is.
Yeah, it's I think that's the main thing as well. And I always felt, when I first moved to the island, I got a lot of people that are like, oh, why are you interested in staying there? Why out of anywhere? And I felt like it was just a place that hasn't really been discovered yet. Living in a place like Hawaii, where obviously, it has a ton of eyeballs, everyone knows about it. Like you type in, Hawaii on YouTube and you can find millions of videos. Well,
and you think about movies that are put there, all these things that are based there, Hawaii 5-0, go with it, Adam Sandler, just all these things that are based in Hawaii. You're right, it's very well known. You think about the island, and it's
51st Dates.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Another Adam Sandler.
Yeah, no, he's good. I like him.
But
yeah, no, you're right. It's just not very known, right? But I think for me, and probably for you as well, how many people do you have come visit you over the years and be like, holy shit?
Oh man, it's constant, and the one that's one thing. Hawaii is so well known. Every single person in the world, it seems, knows of Hawaii. At least it knows it's a cool spot. But I look at Vancouver Island and I see there's a lot of similarities with the type of lifestyle that you could live here versus the type of lifestyle you could live in Hawaii. Of course, temperature wise it's different, but the type of things that you could do here and the potential I see for this place, it's man, it's almost like people just don't really know about it.
Well, yeah,
even you look up all the things in sports and water activities you could do, spearfishing and snorkeling and diving. And you type in any of those activities and then you put in Hawaii and there will be thousands of videos. And you do that on the island and you might find a handful of videos that maybe someone took in the early 2000s with Bring Me to Life playing in the background or something.
I think if you take away that weather aspect, you can surf all year round on the island, whether it's Tofino, wherever it is, beautiful beaches. You can hike. Mm-hmm. There's tons of places to hike. Like I said, you can boat, you can fish, you can do all these things, all the same things you can do, vacation, all these, you can do the same things on the island that you can do. I can be up on Mount Benson in Nanaimo, hike it. It'll take normal person an hour and a half. Me, it'll take 2.5. Whatever it is. And then after I can finish, I can go right down to the ocean, down to Departure Bay Beach, and it's a 20-minute drive.
Yeah, and you could still buy a house that has a view of the ocean for $400,000.
Yeah,
you
just did that with a client.
It's you could still. And that was a part that blew my mind. It was there'd be when I first moved here back in like
it was
2014,
it was like
you would find like downtown, like, and people talk about Harewood and like Halliburton and some
the
of the
university district, as they call it.
But the south area of Nanaimo, where a lot of people who are like originally from here stigmatize, the south end you want to avoid.
Yeah,
but like, I would see a amazing character house, built in like the 40s in good shape with a view of the ocean and like a 5-minute walk from downtown, and it was like $300,000 or like 200. And like, where in North America on the west coast of the entire continent can you find that, other than like some rural spots in like Oregon or something? But
yeah, no, like I remember, I think we've talked about this too. I think your parents did the same thing as my dad. My dad, when I moved here, was like, "Oh, let me buy a house there. I'm gonna buy a house.
Yeah.
3-bed, 2-bath rancher. It was like $300,000.
Yeah,
I'll take equity. I'll buy this house, Jake, and you can live with your friends. You can rent it cheap." And I was like, "Dad, screw you, man.
Yeah.
I want to live independently. I don't want help. I don't want
to hand
and
down."
now it's that same house probably worth $700,000-800,000. He's like, dude, you just like, I'm still gonna retire, but like, man, I would retire with a second house. Like,
yeah, totally.
Like, just like, I think you said your mom would do the same thing.
Yeah, they're looking at condos when we first moved
and
here.
I wanted nothing to do with it. But you talk about they just. And it's funny. You talk about Hawaii again and there's similarities. Growing up, I think I learned more in school about Hawaii and states and all that stuff that I never like learned about Vancouver Island. The only thing you ever did in BC high schools was, we're going to go to the Parliament in Victoria. We're going to go see the Parliament building in Victoria.
Oh, yeah.
That was the only ever field trip you did.
Yeah.
Everyone was just like, a lot of people just didn't go, and then they'd have 3 day off school. Like, I didn't go.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was it. And that's all you did. Like, you couldn't learn about Vancouver Island really, or any of the stuff going on here.
Yeah, and it's such an interesting history. Like, the island has so much like rich historical events that have happened around here. Like, there's a bunch of people that were moving out here, from draft dodgers to hippies, and there's
like you showed me Pools Land. I remember that was pretty crazy.
Oh yeah, that's a interesting part of the island as well, and it's just so funny how there's so it's not that big in the grand scheme of North America, but to have like how different Tofino is versus Nanaimo, or even Nanaimo to Victoria, like all these places within a couple of hours from each other, and yet they have like totally different vibes and cultures to them. It's
they just attract such interesting. You think about Victoria. I would think Victoria attracts very similar people to downtown Vancouver. Mm-hmm. Like people that want to work in like the restaurant industry, things like that, or like the finance industry, stuff like that, right? Where you're in this downtown setting. You think about Tofino, and I think about a dude with long hair,
a beanie,
a beanie, and he loves surfing. He loves surfing and camping and doing this, and he's just like, I'm just living, bro. Like Matthew McConaughey kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you have like Victoria, like Wolf of Wall Street, kind of crazy. Like,
it's so different.
And they're literally like 3.5 hours from each other.
Yeah, it's not that far at all. It's crazy to see the differences in just attitudes and type of lifestyles you could live. And then you can go up to Campbell River, and there's like some of the best hunting and fishing in North America, and it's totally different. The type of places, the options that you have, and that's one thing for me is always. Especially when you're fresh out of high school and trying to figure out what you want to do with your life, living in a place where you have a lot of versatility with what you can do and what type of lifestyle you can live without, having uproot everything and move across the country.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. Okay, so before we finish up, we'll do a couple more minutes here.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll both answer the same question. Like, besides like all this real estate, football stuff we talked about, what other stuff, do you like to do? Like besides selling houses and crushing deals.
Yeah.
What do you like to do? Dog, family, like I don't know, what do you do on a regular basis that's not football?
Yeah. So for me, I live right downtown Nanaimo, and for me, I have a small pug that I thought was going to be a little couch potato, but is super energetic. So a lot of hiking, a lot of going around to the different parks around the island. Nanaimo has some really great parks that are close by. So Piper's, Neck Point, and even going right down to Matheo Sutton. There's periods of time where dogs are allowed on the waterfront and stuff, and she loves swimming. So
nice.
A swimming pug is something you don't see all too often.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
But you were there when you first showed her how to swim.
Yeah.
Going down and just going for walks downtown, and there are a lot of great places to eat and restaurants around town.
That Jamaican food truck, when we had that one.
That was good. Yeah, really good. Every time I go there, I like always catch it like right when it's closing, and every time I try and like
Hey, man,
snag
come
a jerk
on.
chicken, and I'm like, please.
Yeah.
But
do me a favor.
and there's another food truck that's been going downtown a lot. It's like a poutine truck.
Ooh.
They just do different poutines, and then there's like a cookie truck that does like
What about like a poutine bar? Like Joe and I were talking about at our wedding.
Yeah.
Like having a poutine station.
that would be
That'd be
sweet.
pretty sweet, right?
I was thinking because like my girlfriend loves poutine. Like
Yeah.
she's super like, and she we live downtown, and then she drives to Woodgrove to like go to New York Fries to get a poutine
It's not that
there.
great though. I feel like it's like kind of bland.
But where is the best poutine in Nanaimo?
Well, there used to be that one that right downtown by you was like Extreme Eat or whatever.
Yeah.
They used to have really good. They had
Was
crazy.
it like Food Coma?
Yeah,
or-
Food Coma. Food
Yeah,
Coma.
they had good.
Yeah.
Yeah, shut down.
So you're just kind of like enjoying the island overall, and the Nanaimo it has to offer, I guess.
And like being where we are, like it doesn't take much to do like a quick weekend trip somewhere.
No,
And,
so like doing Vancouver, Tofino, like all these places we've
Yeah.
been, right? It's cheap and it's easy to go do that, right? And enjoy. That's a nice thing. I said living in Nanaimo, I like the slower pace, but it's not a bad thing to go back to the mainland and see some friends
Totally.
and have a weekend there, and then just hop on the ferry and come home, or hop
Yeah.
on the plane and come home.
And so, what about you? I know we both have been still playing touch and
Yeah.
flag football.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
plenty
besides
of
that, like,
leagues
yeah.
around that.
I actively said like I coach a little bit for a program in town called Cage Athletics. Great program. And I think they do baseball, and then they just recently started their football program up. Fantastic guy. Sean Arabsiat runs it. We played ball with him.
Yeah, we both played.
So I've been helping coach that a couple nights a week. They do like a cool university prep program that they're helping with, and they do also do some.
And they don't just do football, right? They do like baseball
and stuff like that. Yeah. So yeah, they're awesome. So I've been helping coach with them a little bit. I never played hockey in my life. I joined a ball hockey league last year. I'm gonna do that again this year. That was awesome. Play some just a lot of sports, dropping basketball. You guys have probably seen him a lot in the videos. Molson. He's a little pit bull mutt mix we have.
Yeah.
So he's pretty active, taking him for walks, doing that kind of stuff. And then just enjoying the island and building the life, I guess. Like taking walks, playing sports, keeping active, keeping the dog active, keeping my girlfriend or my fiance happy. I don't know.
Yeah, active. Take her on a lot of walks.
Yeah, take her on a lot of just enjoying like doing that. Or doing what a normal 25-year-old guy should do, I guess. Going out on weekends, having fun with my friends.
Yeah.
Building memories and and selling houses.
Yeah, well, sweet. Well, I think it's this probably would have been a great first episode.
Yeah, we kind of dropped the ball on that one.
We got a little excited to talk about real estate, and you're like, why should we listen to these guys anyway? Where are they from? What are they all about?
And then if you've stayed on episode 4, you're like, wow, man, I really should have listened to these first 2. No.
Yeah. So well, great. It's good to if you have any questions about why we're here or what there is to do around the island, or if you have any suggestions for what you'd like to hear more of, whether it's places that we would suggest checking out, parks, places to eat, what to buy if you're going to move here, because we do have some interesting weather. And
that's actually a good point. It's like, and that, we almost touched on this in another video. It's just like maybe our top 5 places and like top 5 things to buy to the island, like a rain jacket, maybe like.
Oh man, I saw Carly Carey actually. She's another great realtor in town who made a video about like how important getting a good Gore-Tex jacket is.
Yeah,
I've had this on my list forever to do a video on like what are the things that you should buy before moving here, and a great rain jacket and
I think I bought one recently.
And waterproof shoes is such a huge thing. Like that's one thing. If I could have gone back in time,
everyone on the island has Blundstones.
Everyone has. I've been going the Vessi route. They're made in Vancouver and they're totally waterproof.
We should cut the video off here.
I swear. Yeah, there'll be a Vessi ad that pops up after this just because I said it.
Yeah.
But yeah. So all right. Well, we could go on and on forever.
Yeah, we could talk too much. So we'll let you guys go back to your days. But we appreciate you tuning in. Give us a subscribe or a like.
Yeah.
And comment if you can. Let us know what you want to see next. And guys.
Awesome. All right. Until next time. See you soon.